I'm Manny Pacheco for Forgotten Hollywood, ForgottenHollywood.com, and I'm here with my good friend Stan Taffel. Of course, he is on the board with Hollywood Heritage and the president of Cinecon, and really brought this all together. The Keaton, and I'm sorry, let's do it right. The Chaplin Keaton Lloyd Alley, which has now been dedicated officially today.
The Chaplin Keaton Lloyd Alley plaque.
And what went into this? I guess it would be a logistical problem, a nightmare.
Well, first of all, I don't want to correct a good friend, but I'm not the one that put this together. If it wasn't for John Bengtson, none of this would have happened. The East LA, builders, all these wonderful people, David and Jose, Brian Curran, the president of Hollywood Heritage, we all had a part in doing it. I was delighted to be able to help to bring the Chaplin, Keaton, and Lloyd families here, and I was thrilled to be a part of it, to get to speak and tell everybody how important the alley is and how important it is for Hollywood to remember that there was something that happened here before we were all born, which is the reason why we're all here. And logistically, it was tough because we had to talk to many people to make it happen. You just don't say, I'm going to name an alley and put a plaque up. You have to go through a lot of different red tapes to make sure it would happen. But happily it did, and we made it happen on this first National Silent Movie Day, and I am really delighted. We've worked on this a long time, and now I'm ready to go fishing.
Let me ask you about what went into getting the families here, because that's what really made it special, to see grandchildren now, because we're talking 100 years ago that when these films were made, The Kid and Safety Last and Cops. So we're talking grandchildren here.
I'm delighted. I've been friends with Sue Lloyd for a quarter of a century. She started incredibly young. I mean, she's been doing it most of her life. So she's also a hero to us as a film preservationist, Sue Lloyd.
Woo! Well, it's a great honor to be here today.
And she's a film preservationist, and without her we might not have as much of the Harold Lloyd collection as we would have had. And I'm personal friends with Kiera Chaplin, and I contacted her in Switzerland. She traveled over 26 hours by plane to be here for this special event. I wouldn't travel an hour in a bus. She is an actress, an accomplished model, and she is here to honor her grandfather. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Kiera Chaplin.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and thank you so much to the Hollywood Heritage for doing this. I think it's so important to be able to save these spaces.
And she made it her business to be here, a 26-hour flight, and she got here. She wanted to honor her family, and you have to understand, she was born 5 years after Charlie was no longer with us, but Una was her grandma, and she knew her grandma, but she loves her heritage, and she wanted to be here and honor it. And I contacted Keaton Talmadge, a young lady who is also an actress working here in Hollywood. She is also related to somebody. I'll let you guess when I introduce Keaton Talmadge.
Thank you everyone. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting. This means a great deal to our family, of course, and to the Chaplin and Lloyd families as well.
Who is Buster Keaton's great-granddaughter, and I knew it would be exciting. And as we were doing that, I said, I got to call somebody else. So I called Jackie Coogan's grandson, Keith. He came, and it turned out to be so moving for everybody, because obviously the way time works, we can't have Chaplin, Keaton, and Lloyd here, but to be able to have Kiera and Keaton Talmadge and Sue and Keith Coogan here, everybody felt like it's not just a movie. You can touch these people. They exist, and they prove that they existed.
Well, one word, hologram. But other than that, what about the dedication? I mean, this is probably the first of some that you've done in the past and some that you plan in the future. Anything in the offing that we can talk about?
Well, we're not done with this yet. The plaque unveiling is only the first step. What we intend to do now is work with the partners and the developers in putting a more permanent mural-type exhibit, which will allow us to not only celebrate Chaplin, Keaton, and Lloyd, but there were some formidable women that made films here in the alley. We know of about 24 films that were shot here. We may not know of any more because 80% of all silent film is gone, so that record is lost to us. But when we talk about Colleen Moore, who in 1926 was the #1 female star, when we talk about Cleo Madison, Grace Kennard, when we talk about Lois Weber, a phenomenal female director of the silent era, the highest paid director, man or woman, and she was lost to us, but now people are discovering not only did a woman direct silent films, but she directed amazing silent films. So we're going to hear a lot more about her. Gail Henry, a fantastic comedian whom I've always loved, she filmed here. So this mural, however it works out for us, is going to celebrate the women of the alley. It's going to celebrate Oliver Hardy, who did a film here with Billy West years before he teamed up with Stan Laurel. We're going to honor Harry Houdini, who made a film here in this alley, and Douglas Fairbanks, the great swashbuckling star of silent film. So yeah, there are many more people in front of, behind the screen that we'll be able to put on that mural to honor this amazing plot of earth where all these people at one time or another gathered to do some amazing film work.
And I would imagine, because you're going to be attracting lots of tourists when you really make this a completed attraction, as it were, this is good for the businesses and the communities right here up along Cahuenga. I think that's a good thing, right?
Just today, Aziz, who is the owner of the building that we were working on, he was so blown away by what we did here. He has already told us he wants the mural to be much bigger than even we planned, and he wants to have a set designer come in, and he wants to recreate certain scenes in a tasteful way to show people exactly what scenes were shot here. So yeah, this is not over by a long stretch.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, thank you, Stan, for spending a little bit of time. I know you've got a lot on your plate, and there's a lot of people that you've been able to network and put together. You made it a very special day for a lot of people and for Los Angeles in total. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do for LA.
I appreciate that. Manny Pacheco for Forgotten Hollywood, ForgottenHollywood.com.